The new Cobra DS-Adapt Drivers take adjustability to a whole new level in 2025. Plus, we get that superb Cobra performance we've come to know and love. That and more in this episode of the Swing Report. Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, the second Swing Golf here, joined by Jake Montgomery, a fitting manager at our Minneapolis store. Jake, we're here before the store even opens today because we've got some new drivers that people aren't really supposed to see quite yet as of the recording of this. We got the Cobra DS-Adapt Drivers, new for 2025. They were really good with dark speed in the previous year.
Yes.
I mean, I always raved about how they looked. The look is still awesome this year. They've made some refinements, and of course, we'll talk about the adjustability additions too, that they've made some big waves there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year, dark speed was a great performer for us. Like you said, very sleek look. I'm glad to see they haven't gone away from that too much. Really good ball speed out of them, very low spin. I mean, it's kind of a combination Cobra's been known for a while. Adding a new driver to the line in the Max K, still having the Max D, the X, and the LS as well. I'm really excited to kind of get in and test these. They've kind of redeveloped the Power Bridge technology, moved it lower and more forward. So I'm excited to see how that kind of affects performance from last year and try these clubs out.
Yeah, that Power Bridge has really carried. It's been, I think it was initially introduced in Aerojet, and they kind of refined it with dark speed, and now it's even lower and kind of more forward to move the center of gravity around a little bit. But really the big feature that's kind of been added with the DS-Adapt drivers is this Hosel. So FutureFit 33, they're calling it. It's groundbreaking in adjustability. 33 different possible settings on this Hosel that we have with the shafts that we're gonna test the one shaft today, the Denali Black, for the testing. But of course, all the Hosels, 33 settings. That's a lot. And so from a fitter perspective, what does that mean to you? I mean, how dialed you can get a golf?
So more options, the better. I like having the ability to add loft, take off loft independent from the lie angle, because there are players that need a high lofted driver that's very flat, like myself, that tends to overhook the ball. There are players that need a low lofted driver that's very upright. This allows us to set it in any position that we would need to best suit the player, which I think is going to lead to a lot more successful fittings.
And so here's this chart you can see right now with kind of the circles representing the different settings that you can make your adjustments to. The actual act of making the adjustments themselves is not any harder than it ever has been. But basically all you need to know is, the farther right you go, you're going to have a little bit of a lower flight versus the higher flight, right? And you kind of see on the grid there, the y-axis, x-axis, this is getting into terms that, or maybe it's they're scientific, but nonetheless, you can kind of see what you're looking for based on that map there. So A1 is our standard setting. Then they have, E1, they have AS, they got all kinds of different things there for golfers to look at. So you can get really, really dialed in here. And then lastly, I wanted to add just the aerodynamic shape of the club head. Dark speed was awesome with that. Actually, Cobra's really been good in that department for a long time. So you can clearly see there's going to be some easily breaking through the air, so to speak, with these driver heads. And we have all four of them. I also wanted to, you mentioned the new head. We have the LS, the X, and then they kind of broke up their sort of standard, their maximum forgiveness. So they have the Max D and the Max K. And the Max K is kind of their breakthrough into the 10,000 MOI. With the Max K, maximum forgiveness, and the Max D, you're going to have more weight in the heel, a 10-gram weight slot there for that drop bias.
Yep, absolutely.
And then so today we're going to do some testing. You're going to hit all of them. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to see exactly how different each of these are. We're going to just hit them all in the A1 setting, and then we'll do some more content in the future with that Hosel. So, you ready to hit?
Let's do it.
All right, going ahead and starting with this is the DS-Adapt Max K, or the 10,000 MOI driver. Does it look like a big footprint to you?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a large driver. You can't really get 10,000 MOI without having it be on the bigger end. But I would say of the three models of 10,000 MOI drivers out there, this one probably suits my eye the best. I really like the face graphics on it. It doesn't seem outrageously large from heel to toe, which that's usually what bugs me with the big drivers. It's very, very wide. I don't mind a little longer tail. This one I definitely noticed the tail sticking out a little bit more. But overall, I mean, the shape's pretty pleasant for as big as the driver is.
And so the Max K and Max D today, we've got 10.5-degree heads. So we're just hitting everything in the A1 standard setting for everything. Obviously, there's 33 settings to play with that we can eventually work on in a different video. But for today's purposes, just testing them all out, seeing how they perform. Pretty good first shot there. I mean, really good.
More maybe a hair more left. I don't know. Held on.
More speed there. I do want to point out that after 2 swings, your spin deviation is 1.
Okay.
So
consistent.
Yeah. If you can just keep that up, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yep. No, 2 really good swings there.
That's gonna be a little more left. Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't go too far left.
Also, as I mentioned too, this is for testing today. We're using the Denali Black. That's a 60 gram, 6.5. How's the feel after 3 swings? Like the feel off the face?
Feels a lot softer than I thought it was going to. Typically, Cobra drivers feel a little firmer. I mean, I've had a Cobra driver in the past. I play the LTDX.
Okay.
So I'm used to the feel, but this definitely feels softer than in years past, which I appreciate.
Okay. Interesting. It sounds solid too. It's like a solid thud, you know. Oh, wow.
I like that.
Good there. So you have a propensity to hit it kind of with a, you know, sometimes a lower launch, and you also play a bit of a draw most of the time, correct?
For sure.
So of those 4, we're going to do kind of 4 solid swings with each driver today. It's kind of going to be our route here. Here, let me bring everything up here. So dispersion and the 4 shots. 148 on the smash factor. A couple low launchers there brought the launch down to 10.6, but nonetheless pretty consistent in terms of that total distance, still being around 288, 290 every single time. The spin is also pretty consistent across the board here.
Yes, it was.
Right around 24, 2500. We had a couple 2600. We had one lower one that you kind of dove to the left there.
Yep.
Obviously, if we take that out, things get really, really good all across the board in terms of averages. Again, obviously, we want to make sure we understand that misses happen with drivers, bad swings happen with drivers. I'm going to be as guilty as anybody. But what do you think after hitting the Max K?
Yeah, I mean, it felt very easy to hit. A couple of those I did not hit square.
Yeah.
And my smash factor never dipped below 1.46, which is pretty dang good. That's that ball speed divided by club head speed. So very forgiving for ball speed off the face, as well as, I mean, dispersion. It's not often that I hit 3 out of 4 shots within like 30, 40 feet of the center of the fairway.
Correct.
That's pretty good there.
Yeah.
Even that one where I missed it left, that was like where I'd normally see a snap hook out on the course. And if you switch it to total, I'm just curious to see how far offline did it get by the time it finished?
Yeah.
Edge of the fairway.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day long.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's actually, and looking at it this way too, where those ended up, those three, you could put, granted, a large blanket, but you can put a blanket over those 3. And then one just kind of over here, hang out to the left. And like you said, a lot of other drivers, that might result in a true duck hook where that thing is lost and maybe loses a ton of distance. This one didn't really lose any.
No, not at all.
He lost a few yards of total distance. So, all right. Next driver here. This is interesting now because you play a draw and you have that. This is the miss. We're going to go with the Max D, which has that 10-gram weight in the heel. So we'll see how, you know, maybe how, I don't want to say problematic it is just for your swing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Max D, this is one that's probably the shot we expected to see out of this one.
Yep.
Also, I should note the Max K and Max D are also available with a junior spec and a women's spec too. So you have both of those options with the driver, which is cool.
Yeah.
Does it look like there's a bunch of, like, do you notice some mass in the heel?
Yes. I mean, it looks very close to the dress, which I mean, for someone that tends to miss out to the right, they can be very confidence inspiring.
Yeah.
Someone that misses out to the left, this doesn't set up the best for myself.
Okay.
But I mean, we can see already, it doesn't want to let the ball go to the right.
Right.
I think we're definitely going to see a dispersion more on the left half of the golf course.
That one started out to the right at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to hold that one out.
You did, though.
More.
Maybe a slight mishit. It sounded kind of like maybe it was off the toe, perhaps, but nonetheless, that's a really good shot. I mean, to see that ball kind of come back to a little bit after starting out to the right, really good. To get almost 300 yards out of that is I think anybody would take that one.
Yeah, with that smash factor, absolutely.
Wow, look at that.
Okay.
Lower spin there for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting with the
It's coming a little high off
Max
the
D.
face there.
little high off the face. Okay.
So that's going to drop the spin rate a lot.
Yep.
You know, in a weird way, with it being so closed, I feel like I can swing with my hands wide open. And it's just, it's not going to go right at all.
Interesting.
So those last couple, I've just kind of let the
And
push
that's something
happen.
worth noting for the player that does miss right is kind of a, it's, you know, this is not necessarily something scientifically we can show, you know, but like there's a mental aspect to it of you can just let her rip.
Yeah.
And you know, if that face is maybe open slightly, it's not going to take off on you, go way right and be in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're seeing that ball kind of stay right on line, if not even come back a little left when you're even trying to hold it off.
Yeah. That's probably going to be a little more left to target. Yep.
Okay, so this is kind of good though, because we see kind of the shot that you anticipated happening, which was these two over here. We also saw these two over here that you kind of held off a little bit and made sure that face was open. We see that one was at 4.9. Actually, both were at 4.9 with that face angle. Interesting how those dispersion shapes are like the exact same thing.
Yeah, just a little wider.
Numbers-wise, you were more efficient with the Max K.
Yep.
Met 144 smash versus 148. Again, we talked about a couple miss hits in there, but oddly enough, the total distance and the carry distance were actually farther with the Max D.
Yes.
Speaks to maybe the forgiveness there on kind of those off-center hits. Your club is still going to go give you the distance that you need, right? And you can see on the dispersion too how those orange dots of the Max D are still absolutely keeping up, if not even a little further than the Max K, despite
absolutely.
the efficiency differences. And do you notice anything else up there with these two so far?
I mean, I would say I like seeing that my path and face were pretty similar with both, so it's a pretty good representation of kind of how these drivers are going to perform. I would say typically the 10K drivers are not the longest in the lineup, but they're the straightest, which we saw. Offline dispersion on that was very, very good.
Yep.
With the Max D, on the couple that I hit out to the right, I hit them a little high on the face with the higher launch angle, which is why they just got out so much further. But I definitely did not feel at all like this thing was going to leak out to the right on me. It felt very secure that I knew it was going to draw back, if not just kind of hold its line out to the right there. So if you're someone that struggles with a miss to the right, this would be a great option.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going for with that one. So, all right, now it's time to we'll get into the standard, probably the model that's going to fit the most people, the Dark Speed Adapt X here.
Yep.
All right, so the Dark Speed Adapt X. Now, for transparency here again, we have I believe it's the X and the LS are now a 9-degree head.
Yes.
So we're hitting a standard setting. So you're going to see more speed here. You're also going to see lower launch, as we saw on that one.
Yep.
Does the shape look different compared to I guess the two Max heads that you hit?
I mean, I would say honestly, from a size standpoint, it doesn't look too much smaller than the K. Definitely more square face than D, for sure. I don't feel like this is going to inherently go as far left. It's a lot more neutral. But I mean, it's very confidence-inspiring size. Like it's not a small driver per se, but the black look of it makes it look just real clean.
There's another good one. So this is is this so far what you kind of would expect a little bit? I mean, because I know once you would get yourself in the fitting bay, obviously you have all kinds of options here. You could dial yourself in, but lower launch and spin so far, granted with lower loft, but also you're getting some good ball speed on this thing too.
Yeah, I mean, it's very fast so far. I'm pretty impressed with how fast it's leaving the face. Yeah, I mean, the launch and spin don't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I don't play a 9-degree driver because I just don't get it up in the air too much.
Yeah.
And that's a peak height of about 60 feet there.
Yeah.
Ideally, I want that closer to 100.
Yeah.
Well, that was high on the face, so it's going to launch higher. That'll work out.
There you go. See, that's where we tend to do that sometimes with some of these testing videos, is that education on like what different parts of the face will do. Now, granted, this is really good to see a 1.40 smash factor.
Yeah.
Still get the ball almost 300 yards for you. But typically higher on the face to a point results in lower spin, higher launch, and you're going to get pretty good performance out of it for the most part, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Lower on the face will increase that spin, might be lower launch. you'll probably lose a lot of distance with it. Now, granted, drivers are getting better. The Adapt is pretty good at minimizing that, but nonetheless, you're going to see some effect there. So for that one, actually, I haven't seen a 140 smash factor
pretty poorly.
Yeah, I haven't seen a 140 smash factor still do that well in terms of where I know your distance typically is. I mean, that's 300-yard drive,
really
basically.
losing any yards.
Yeah, that's going to be one of your farthest drives of the day, and you hit it 140. So. Oh wow, another one that's 295. Really fast on that one.
Yeah.
Spin staying low. Okay, so we have some numbers here that kind of are starting to we're getting where we need to go here. So spin down under 2,000 average. I mean, despite all of that, we talked about, and this is the total dispersion. Look where that ends up. You're getting things a lot closer.
Yep.
Also, we see things, your draw showing up consistently, a little left of center on average. What else jumps out at you at these numbers? Also of note, total distance is the furthest so far.
I would say what jumps out to me right off the bat is I had 10 feet less height compared to the K, but my carry distance remained the same. So that ball speed is really helping keep that ball up in the air.
Yeah.
Then the lower spin rate is letting it just release a lot more. So that would explain why I got the furthest total distance out of it. My smash factor actually wasn't crazy efficient compared to that of the Max K. My dispersion was a little straighter to the center on my best 3 shots, but my dispersion was a little bit more consistent with the X, just because I think shape-wise it is a little closer to what I might typically use.
Yeah.
And I just felt real comfortable turning the ball over with it.
For sure. And I also wanted to just bring this up for fun, because this is the carry. And one of your carry furthest of the day is this 140 smash, as we talk about where these things are landing out there. But yeah, really good stuff from the Dark Speed Adapt X there, where that total dispersion is looking really nice. You got 4 fairway finders there. So, all right, now we're going to get into the Dark Speed LS, where potentially even lower spin and lower launch here. So this is the Dark Speed Adapt LS. There's that low launch and low spin. And again, we're this is a first impressions type of test, and we know that you would fit yourself a little differently within this driver line. Maybe not even use the LS head, maybe some more loft, but that's perhaps the farthest total of the day, or very close.
Yeah, I think so.
Sounded good? Ooh, yeah.
Cut it a little on the heel.
Okay, so that's actually fascinating. So, little heel, right? And you kind of, you noticed it right away. The spin did go up a little bit, which is, as we've talked about already, that's kind of what happens with a heel or a low face. 149 smash still. Spin goes up 2,700, great. You still get 292 really out of that shot. That's pretty good. I mean, that's some forgiveness in a low spin head.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, it still felt pretty good. I can recognize that I hit it on the heel, but it still felt pretty good coming off, I think, just because the ball speed still remained pretty high.
Ooh, there's some ball speed.
Yeah, just launched real low.
A little launched it low, but some serious ball speed on that one. Spin was low. So you're definitely going to lose some carry on that one. For sure. But if we go to the total, it's still out there. Lost a little bit of it. But to see that I feel like the efficiency too has been really good with the LS so far, in terms of just connecting, hitting the center of the face, or not even maybe hitting the center of the face, but just getting the performance that you're looking for, like that jump off the club face.
Yeah.
Another fast one there. Oh yeah. So again, we talked about the fact that this driver in particular probably isn't the fit for you. In the sense of
not in this loft.
In the sense of this loft, and that fact that your miss is kind of that low lefter. But nonetheless, we see kind of those trends emerge.
Yeah.
Some low spin, not the lowest. We think we had one that was in the 24 range, 23 range.
Yeah, the one that I caught a little bit on the heel.
Yeah, this one, actually 27 is what it was, which brought that up. We got the lowest launch, but very efficient. And so I think that speaks to what you mentioned about the shape that you'd like, some confidence to swing at it. You get that thing, fit for your specs, add some loft, maybe, one of the 33 settings that's available. dial that in for yourself, and then you're going to be hitting some bombs here.
For sure.
What else do you see here numbers-wise? I see the ball speed jumping up here,
Yeah, I mean, the smash factor jumped out to me right away,
Yeah.
149. It's about as good as it gets. So you can get up to 150, but I'm happy with that. Very much so. Attack angle on the 9 for both, I was swinging up a little bit more on them just to get a little more height there.
Sure.
But even with that, I mean, 61 feet for this Dark Speed Adapt, like, it's going to be a low launch, low spin driver.
Yeah, exactly.
For someone like myself, I would have to play minimum 10.5 degrees and maybe even play this at 11.
Yeah.
But one thing I do like to see is that, at least with the initial first 3, it really didn't want to draw to the left as much as the X model did. It favored the right side a little bit more, which I like to see.
Yeah.
Which this head is inherently going to be more fade biased.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think there's something to be said here too about for you, and I think based on what I know about your game and what you're saying about your game, the Adapt X is probably the driver that you would fit into.
Yeah.
And to see that be the best dispersion up there is, kind of goes to show the drivers do what they're designed to do.
For sure.
So really good stuff here from Dark Speed Adapt. And again, we haven't even gotten into all the settings available on the Hosel, which we will do in another video. But first impression here is pretty good testing so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dark Speed Adapt. All right, so Jake, testing complete there. Cobra Dark Speed Adapt Drivers. Pretty good stuff there. What was the big takeaway, the number one thing you'll take from that session?
I would say the thing that I noticed throughout testing was spin forgiveness.
Okay.
I didn't see a single shot in the 3000s for spin, which generally I do get a couple healers in there that will jump up into that 3000 range. Didn't see that happen with any of these models, which if these can be a low spin option across the board, that's going to be beneficial for almost every golfer that walks through our door.
Yeah, I mean, there's chasing that low spin, obviously, any golfer is doing, especially if you've got a little bit of speed. The lower the spin, the better in that regard for chasing distance. So, all right, let's go model by model here of the Cobra Dark Speed Adapt Drivers. So a model by model look at which type of golfers each one is for. So we'll start with the Cobra Dark Speed Adapt Max K. So this is the one here, kind of on my left, I'm holding right now. What type of golfers are going to be playing this one most likely?
So for this player in the past, a 10,000 MOI model, I would typically fit in a player that doesn't have a wayward miss to the right, or should I say a slice, but tends to hit it kind of all over the face. Where that driver is really going to excel is preserving ball speed and maintaining a lower spin rate on miss hits. So if you're looking for a driver that's overall just going to help you tighten in your dispersion, the Max K is a great one to go with. So
now the next one here, the Cobra Dark Speed Adapt Max D. So this has a lot of those forgiveness properties, but right off the bat I can see a weight here in the heel. That's going to change some things for sure.
100%. So it has that heel weight. It also sets up very close at address. So if you are a player that struggles with a slice, this is going to be a very good option for you. It's just going to make it as easy as possible to get that face closed and help correct that miss.
Now the next one here, this is what we talked about, the Dark Speed Adapt X, the one that's going to fit the most golfers, right? And it just has a very solid look to it as well, as we talked about. So kind of give us the range of players that might play this one.
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to kind of say we get in more of the mid to low handicap range. This is still going to have plenty of forgiveness, but it's going to offer a little more control if you want to try and shape your shot off the tee. It's also going to have a little bit lower spin than the Max K will.
Also worth noting too on this one, there is adjustable weight ports on this head. So we actually had the heavier weight forward for the testing today, but you could put the 10-gram weight in the back and the 3-gram weight forward for a little bit more stability to play it even more close, kind of that Max K. So
absolutely.
Now the Dark Speed Adapt LS. Speaking of adjustable weights, there's even more adjustability you can do here with this one. What do you see from the Dark Speed Adapt LS and the type of players that'll work for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was fast and it didn't spin a lot. That's exactly what this thing is designed to do. This is definitely for your higher end, lower handicap player. It's not nearly as forgiving as the other models we've talked about. It's a smaller head. Your miss hits will get a little more wayward and you won't have as much ball speed. But if you're a faster player that usually hits the center, if not pretty close to it, and you're looking for a lower spin option, that's a great one.
I also wanted to even note too, as I'm looking at this, kind of as we start to wrap here, the shape of this sort of, I guess, tail, so to speak, on the bottom of the club, it's not as distinct on the LS versus, say, the Max K or the Max D.
For sure.
So they're putting a little bit more weight back and low in these two heads versus this LS head. So you can see why there's some more forgiveness here with the Max designs versus the LS. So golfers, the Dark Speed Adapt drivers from Cobra, look fantastic, and they also, the performance was really, really good, and it's exactly what they kind of tell us is going to happen from these drivers as Jake displayed today. Also, as we have said over and over, that FutureFit Hosel is going to be a game changer. So there's 33 possible settings when you go in and get fit for these drivers that we can get you into. So really good stuff from Cobra. Jake, thank you for doing the testing today. That was awesome. Fantastic stuff. It's going to be a great year for Cobra, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.